Welcome to today's session, Learning from High Performers, our 2022 award recipient panel. This is our final Sites Now of 2022. We are very excited to continue the program into 2023 with the wonderful support of our Sites Now sponsors. But these are the topics we've covered this year. Some really amazing sessions, amazing opportunities to kind of talk about the challenges and opportunities that sites are facing now. This program was developed during the pandemic. When we couldn't get together, we decided, hey, let's continue the conversation. Sites were more important than ever in the facilitation and operational goals that the pandemic had for us, and you guys responded amazingly. We are really grateful to continue Sites Now, and we look forward to tackling. These are just some of the topics that we have, and the reason I'm sharing them for next year is if you're at the summit, maybe you saw the opening where we had many of our sites share one picture, one word that represented a moment they were proud of. I've probably had 50 conversations since then of folks saying, I would really love to know the stories from those sites. I want to know about the patients they're working with and ways that they overcame and or even just solved new ideas and challenges. So with the first session we provide next year will be around some of those stories. If you have one that you'd like to share, connect, please connect with our friend Jimmy Bechtel here. He is helping us organize our Sites Now moving into next year. If this is your first Sites Now, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Every time we finish a presentation, it does have life. It's evergreen. And you can check out some of the other Sites Nows that we've done at myscrs.org. That is our website. And on there, you'll find resources, some of the videos, some of the archives, slide decks. In some cases, Sites Now presentations go have second lives. They become research papers or articles or even sessions at our Site Solution Summits across the globe. So if you haven't recently, you can check out our folks and our archive at the myscrs.org Sites Now page. And I'd ask my colleagues, since I can't copy and paste into the chat right now, if you could go ahead and post the link to our Sites Now archive, I'd be grateful. Just like all of our work, it wouldn't be complete without the tremendous support of our Sites Now supporters throughout the year. These organizations have not only participated, but they've provided resources for us to build out websites, lease the technology, bring people together, organize it in a way that we think is fun and exciting for our audiences. And this year, these are the organizations that helped us move Sites Now forward. We're working now on a 2023 campaign, but we are grateful to everyone here for their support throughout the year. We use this slide and all of our presentations, our articles, everything that comes out of Sites Now. These are the organizations that help us make a difference. And I see some of you on the phone today. Thank you for your support. Hey, so one bit of housekeeping. Guess what? We've got one more summit. I know it's crazy. I can't believe it either. Some folks were like, oh, you must, is it time to rest? No, we have an amazing program in Lisbon, Portugal this year. This EU program has been patient with us because we've had to move it several times during the pandemic. This hotel has been wonderful to allow us to continue to move our dates. And this year it will be just in a couple of weeks, November 14th and 15th, just under a month away. Here's some new news that we will share. After the global summit, we had a supporter come up and share that they would be willing to support global growth. They felt like the European audience was one they wanted to improve site participation in. And we do have scholarships available for qualified research sites, academic centers, and students in the European region. So if there are folks that you know that fit that criteria, we encourage you to share with them to register. We do have a scholarship application. Thank you, Jimmy. Or if you are part of our audience that actually reaches sites directly in the region and you want to invite them to participate, you can ask them to register using the code EU guest, European EU guest, okay? And so all caps, EU guest. And in that, with that, please know that we will be checking, they must follow the criteria, but we're appreciative of the referrals and also the support for that scholarship program. Thank you. Okay, we have an amazing panel today. Hera, Lisa, Mike, Sean, Kate, and Vivian have joined us. They've made the time to share their journeys with us this year. And we're really excited to learn from them. But to get us started, we wanted to just revisit the video that kicked off the summit this year. And here to help us do that is Jimmy.
Beautiful moments sometimes start small. A commitment to start is the first step. Starting is beautiful.
There's always a sunrise. All of our needs, our hopes and our dreams are waiting on an open door. I see a spark of light in the dark. We'll be wiser than before. We gotta love like we've never been hurt. We gotta rise like we've never been burned. And after all of the lessons we've learned, we're gonna make this a beautiful world, a beautiful world. Oh, oh, oh. Gonna make this a beautiful world. Oh, oh, oh.
Moments in motion are beautiful. Growing moments.
When we come together,
Connecting moments.
everything's gonna be much better.
Learning moments.
When we come together,
Beautiful moments.
we gotta love
Thank you for sharing moments with SCRS over the last 10 years.
like we've never been burned. And after all of the lessons we've learned, we're gonna make it.
What moments will you capture?
Make this a beautiful world.
Create.
Gonna make
Share.
this a beautiful world.
Build. Learn.
Make this a beautiful world.
And deliver at the summit.
When we come together, it's a beautiful world.
Here's to many more years of site success and endless beautiful moments.
We're gonna make this a beautiful world.
Thank you, Jimmy. That was great. We worked hard to reflect on 10 years of change. Sometimes we look at things, different topics, and we're like, what progress has been made? And some people may argue against some of those moments, but I would say that we have a long way to go, and we're grateful to continue that path. So thanks for sharing that with us once more, Jim. Okay, I think I need to reshare this. All right.
Perfect.
And there we go. Well, our first recipient this year, representing DM Clinical Research, is Hera Arham. And Hera, you are the recipient, DM Clinical Research is the recipient of the Excellence in Patient Centricity Award. This year was once again sponsored by Sanofi. This award was created to celebrate a clinical research site that has proven its commitment to effective patient engagement by understanding clinical research from the patient perspective. Through the consideration of patient insights, the recipient of this award works tirelessly to produce healthcare solutions that are committed to enhanced patient experiences as well as an improved health-related quality of life. This year, DM Clinical Research was the proud recipient of the Excellence in Patient Centricity Award. And Hera, we would love to know a little bit about the work that led up to this submission. Tell us about it.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's nice to be here. Good morning or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I came to SDRS for the first time last year, and it was like being a kid in a candy store. Everything was new and shiny to me, especially the conversations around patient engagement. I can say that I left in complete awe of the work that the industry was doing, and with a lot of wacky ideas about what I wanted to do at DM Clinical and what we wanted to do as a company to move and propel us towards a more patient-centric culture. And we did that in a couple of ways. We created an in-house patient engagement team that served as a real-time call center for patient issues, using data and metrics to track, creating an internal dashboard to identify issues at each site, depending on what the category was, and being able to mitigate risks. In the first 6 months alone, we resolved 1,000 patient issues in real time and answered 17,000 calls that would have otherwise been missed if they were routed differently or to other sites or to our recruitment office. And we did this in different ways. We really believe that taking data and then using that to operationalize patient centricity is the key. And for us, we sort of act as a quality QA for patient experience. Much as the QA might serve for safety, data, and compliance, we serve as the quality assurance team for the patient experience, from when we bring in the leads from marketing to when they maybe become repeat participants or refer a family or friend. But we needed data to prove that we needed to make those decisions that would inform not just our clinical operations side, but also our technology that we create in-house, right? How do we innovate to become a more patient-centric company if we don't have the data or the tools to be able to do that? The dashboard was the first step, and then focus groups and survey data was the second step. The survey data was from the first visit to the mid-study to the end of study to how they scheduled their phone call and their first visit. All of that was tracked on this dashboard, and then that helped us figure out where we can help support our sites to grow and be more patient-centric, right? And one of the key takeaways from that experience was we were able to create site scorecards that we were able to then measure them on, right? So whether they were getting Google reviews, whether they were looking at survey data, whether we were looking at focus group data, or whether we were looking at this entire dashboard in real time that tells us what sites having what issue each day, and be able to sort of look at those trends and then monitor them to mitigate risk. We were able to then give our sites a scorecard to identify how they were doing on that internal patient centricity scale. What's most exciting about it is that when we're able to take that data, operationalize it, and then figure out what solutions we need to create in-house to be more patient-centric and to elevate that patient voice, we're then able to increase our word of mouth referrals. So we have a pretty strong ambassador program. We like to call them the DM Clinical Ambassadors. And we truly believe that the way to sort of increase those referrals and get those people to, repeat the participation is all about using their voice to inform decision making.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hera. And we were, when you were talking about the scorecard, and let's just and kind of reviewing it from a risk assessment. If one of the sites maybe didn't have a score that quite lived up to the patient quality assurance for their experience, like what were some of those steps that you would take?
Yeah, for sure. And that happens, right? We don't always hit it out of the home. We don't always hit a home run. So our first step is to figure out what kind of issue, and our dashboard is able to tell us that. So for example, if our one site is having a transportation issue continuously, we know that maybe we're not scheduling those transportation lifts right. Maybe they aren't getting their stipends for transportation in enough time. We know what partners we need to work with in order to make sure that we're solving that issue, right? If it's a communication issue that patient can't get in touch with the site, maybe they're having a busy day, this call center acts as that mediator and finds the person at that site or in the recruitment department that will then get back to that patient within that 24-hour cycle. So it's just real-time problem solving that I think helps us sort of figure out how to use that data. If they're trending sort of downwards that month, figure out what we need to do, where their sort of weaknesses are to get them for the next month to propel forward.
Wonderful. I like how you also are talking through your business partnerships as part of the extension that the site has. We're always like an extension of one another, aren't we? That's what makes research so amazing. But when you start looking at I think you mentioned Lyft as a business partner there to get the patients to and fro. Just even having that information and being able to share that back with your sites and then your partners in industry, I think goes a long way to talking about how you are working with other constituencies to deliver the study and the visit. So well done and congratulations on your award.
Thank you so much.
Well, in the same vein of patient relationships comes SPRIA Award recipient. SPRIA is our Site Patient Recruitment Innovation Award. And this year, actually for the last several years, StudyKIK was the sponsor for this program. The Site Patient Recruitment Innovation Award was actually launched in 2014 to recognize sites that utilize innovative strategies to achieve enrollment success. In judging these submissions, the emphasis is placed on patient-directed initiatives that are unique, effective, and take into account the response of a campaign. All sites are invited to submit their creative and forward-thinking recruitment plan for consideration in this award process. And this year, we're really pleased to share with you the award recipient for SPRIA, Mike Clay. Mike's the Chief Operating Officer at Javara. So Mike, tell us a little bit about the approach that Javara had and the path that brought you to submit for the SPRIA.
Thank you, Sean. Well, it's great to be speaking with everyone and the panelists today. You know, Javara is an integrated research organization, so we partner with very large healthcare systems to really create their clinical research units within their clinics, hospitals around the U.S. And one thing that's very important, and when we were considering the SPRIA Award, innovation, I think is something we all think about a lot. How can we be better in what we do every day? But the word innovation, we usually align to technology, but it's not necessarily technology. It's taking existing processes and really making it better, developing what we can. And sometimes that includes technology to help support that innovation. But our approach at Javara was really looking at the spectrum of where patients are in the community, right? They're not just within the EHRs, they're not just from, you know, external recruitment activities. They are sitting within our communities where we're based. There are other means of bringing patients in using ads, recruiting, you know, and other means. So we really wanted to take an opportunity to develop a system that really connects all of these potential patient conduits together. So we developed Genesis, which is a center of excellence. We have about 25 people there right now that work every day, bringing in patients and handling patient calls is one mechanism, but also patient outreach and really encapsulating what we're doing from a marketing perspective as well. So we're connecting all of these dots and we're refining as we go as well, because this is inherently complicated, right? As everyone on the call, I'm sure can relate. But really, our approach is taking, that community engagement, making sure we're very carefully taking that patient on the journey through their first introduction many times to clinical research, and really measuring, what is their sentiment? How are they feeling about participating in research? And I think Kara mentioned this earlier, once we get a patient who's participating in research, they're going to be more likely to refer friends, they're going to be more likely to continue and come back for the next study. So we actively, even on phone calls with patients, we measure their sentiment scores. Are they having a positive experience? Is there something we could say or do that would, bring greater comfort to that patient as well? So, the SPRIA award, I think, was, we had other individuals who were nominated who had great, far-reaching community engagement as well. But we're very honored to be the recipient this year, and really hope our efforts and things we share today also help everyone on the line as well, because the faster we recruit patients, the faster products get to the hands of those who need them the most. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Mike. And quick follow-up to the program around I think a center of excellence is a wonderful way to put it, right? That's what we all work towards and want to achieve in terms of the work that we have that is patient facing. How does the team equip patient facing team members, staff, with communication skills to make sure that that patient relationship is paramount? What are some of the things you guys are doing to improve that part of the experience?
That's a really important part, Sean. I'm glad you raised that. We are continuing to refine what that training looks like, but part of Genesis is really ongoing feedback, right? So there are scripts that are IRB approved, obviously, if you're introducing a patient to a clinical research trial. But there's also feedback. So each of our phone calls through Genesis is recorded, quality controlled. Real-time feedback is given through some of the managers regarding, the interactions with the patients and potential patients. And, that's part of it, but there is also a training platform up front that really helps prepare our team members. Where we're looking at continuing to refine that is also, at each of our locations as well, with our what we call our clinical trial navigators. They're analogous to CRCs. The navigators are named that on purpose because they help the patient navigate through clinical research. But we're always looking at better ways to train and upskill everyone when it comes to those very important patient touches.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. I feel like we should do we should have a work stream around communication innovation, right? Because these are, in some ways, they're the missing ingredient, and they've been with us forever. But I see that as folks approach getting involved, getting enrolled, having that pathway and that clear communication is going to be paramount, and making them feel comfortable through the process. But really, it's an unknown, and so if it's a care option, you're also looking at, help me understand where this is going. Right. And you want to have a team that's deep enough and aware enough to have those kind of conversations. So well done, Mike and the team at Javara and the Genesis program. So congratulations. Thanks so much. Well, moving towards the part of the program that we recognize, Site Tank, which was modeled after the popular television show, of course, you guessed it, Shark Tank. Well, we wanted to provide a platform where sites can put on their innovative hats, share technology ideas that enhance, empower, and improve their operations, or just new business models that create opportunity. And so this year's recipient of the Site Tank Award, sponsored by the Pfizer team, is UC Davis Health School of Medicine, the Clinical and Translational Science Center. And here to talk to us a little bit about the work that led to her submission is Kate Maricina. And I would love to, I lost Kate. There she is. Okay. Kate, tell us a little bit about the work that led to your submission this year at UC Davis.
Thank you, Sean. And I'm proud to represent one of the few academic sites that present at SCRS Summit. And I hope that the number of academic sites will increase in the future. At the summit, we presented our work on the workforce development, and I believe that we created a blueprint that could be adopted by a variety of geographical areas or a larger private site networks or even the private sponsors. As you all know here, the state of workforce, clinical research workforce is quite precarious right now, and there's a widespread anticipation that the situation will only worsen in the next few years. So we took the active steps to engage our local community to create a novel pipeline for the workforce that hopefully will take UC Davis jobs or maybe go beyond. We created close partnerships with the local community colleges, and in the future, we hope to expand these partnerships to local high schools, where we recruit the students of a diverse socioeconomic and ethnic backgrounds to enter in our pretty rigorous 16-week clinical research coordinator training program. What I think is unique about this blueprint is that we train those young students before they get hired into UC Davis. We'll train after we hire, but why not train before we hire, which is basically a principles of establishing a school. So if you want to be a medical assistant, you go to medical assistant school. If you want to be a PA, you go to PA school, but there's no school for clinical research coordinators, or at least there are only few examples scattered around. So we want to train the new generation of the workforce independently of whether they work for UC Davis or not, because that benefits our community and benefits our society. So the other important principle that we deploy in our workforce development program is that not only we don't charge for our program, we provide stipends to the students, because if we really want to achieve diversity in our workforce, you can expect those folks to work 3 part-time jobs and try to focus on our program. So we have firsthand accounts of how the stipends really help those who could have never conceived working for a healthcare system to really get through the training and successfully acquire a job of a clinical research coordinator afterwards. So we provide academic curriculum, which is largely based on a new ACRP materials that they just put together. That's Association for Clinical Research Professionals. And we also provide internship and shadowing opportunities at UC Davis, so students can learn firsthand what the job of a clinical research coordinator entails. So we graduated the first cohort. We're now on the second cohort. We're learning every time, and we hope to continue improving and spreading word about this program. And we really hope that some of the folks that present today on the call will pick up this blueprint and adapt it to their own needs, and multiply the opportunities for the students all across the country.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Kate. And I'm curious, this is a topic that so impactful right now. I know ACRP has championed workforce for some time, and this is an area where SCRS has many site owners, site leaders, and they're really feeling the pinch in workforce adjustment this year. So much so that we've tried to explain Capitol Hill, and also we've just started a workforce initiative around this challenge. Last year, collectively, our Global Impact Partners shared they would love to have a blueprint such as UC Davis has delivered. And so I'm curious, Kate, what were the lessons learned between the first and second cohorts? Like, what changes did you guys implement into that that next class.
Yeah, but before I address that, Sean, I think that this is a really good point that you're bringing up. And I think SCRS is uniquely positioned to be a leader in the workforce development space by creating the pre-competitive programs where investment could be combined from the variety of different sponsors to sponsor the workforce development. When we just started this program, and we reached out to the sponsors that do business with UC Davis, some of the questions were related, well, will the students be working on our particular clinical trials? And I think this is really an outdated question. What we really want to see is the community, like the sites, the sponsors, the CROs, academic centers, come together in a pre-competitive manner so we can sponsor the students to go through this training program and have the ability to become somebody they couldn't imagine becoming. So part of the SCRS future could be a collaborative approach such as like that. And in terms of what happened between the first and second cohort, we have largely improved our ability of students to access the shadowing opportunities. Of course, it's a burden for our existing staff to take on a student and show them around and making sure they're answering the questions. But after the first cohort, some of those fears were dispelled. And our existing staff were like, oh, this is really cool. And we love being mentors. And it kind of makes us feel really good. So we we improved on our scheduling system for shadowing. And we have a lot more specialties that want to participate in taking our students for shadowing. So it's actually, we had a positive progress in that direction.
That's incredible. Thanks, Kate. I think we will we'll be hearing and reaching out to you more regularly as we understand ways that we could help create that blueprint into something where we can repeat and adapt. And I think you guys have done an amazing job. I'm curious, what does a successful cohort look like? Is it like a certain amount of students? Is it how many complete 16 weeks? Maybe a little bit of both. Curious if you feel comfortable to share any of those data points.
Yeah, so of course, I'll hope in the end that the students will be interested in the profession and that they will apply for our endless open positions at UC Davis Health. We have successfully employed 3 out of 5 that graduated the last cohort, and the second cohort is still ongoing, but we're already thinking about employing some of the students before they even reach the end of the program. So we're trying to be really proactive in our employment. I want to also mention very positive collaboration with the Medics staffing agency. They're one of the SCRS sponsors. They were listed on the previous slides. So collaboration with the staffing agencies such as Medics was really beneficial because it allows us to cover the gap between the graduation and when the job opening is posted. I think for a lot of private sites, posting the jobs may not be such a big deal. For a big organization such as ours, it's quite a long process. And so having an intermediary such as staffing agency allows our students to jump into work immediately without having to wait for the open positions.
I really recognize and celebrate your point of train before you hire. It seems like a simple solution, but one that needs that organization and needs some guidelines, needs some understanding. And then I think the mentorship ingredient is really key, and one that'll keep those young professionals involved in the program. So well done and congratulations on.
Thank you.
So moving on through our program, we at the summit, we celebrated the Eagle Award the entire ceremony, the entire award ceremony was sponsored by the team from Advara. And the SCRS Eagle Award celebrates great site partnerships between CROs and pharmaceutical sponsors, folks that they work with every single day. The site industry relationship is a foundational part of clinical research success, informing industry innovation and progress. But most importantly, it is this partnership between organizations that delivers the experience and insights for the most important member of our team, patient. For more than a decade, the Eagle Award has recognized outstanding leadership, professionalism, integrity, passion, and dedication to advancing the clinical research profession through strong site partnerships. And the criteria that sites nominated and then voted on are on this slide. I'll ask my colleagues to share a link to not just the Eagle Awards ceremony, but also the other awards from the Site Solutions Summit. You guys can take a look at this slide. One thing that we were working on is how do we become more transparent in the criteria and the questions that we asked as we approached a large site audience. We had almost 4,000 sites participate in these Eagle Award nominations and then voting. Please know that we accept the top percentage of votes for our finalists. But what was outstanding this year is that if we expanded it a couple of more percentage points, we would have had about 12 finalists. And I'm not articulating that very well. I need a graphic to share that. We're working on it. Not enough time between last week and today, but many of our GIPs are just so close on the finalist side to becoming finalists and then eventually, recipients. It's a wonderful show of progress and something that we hope to articulate a little bit easier into next year. So for the first time, we have some data points that we didn't have. Our voting before was open source, so we do that so that any organization that is nominated and during the nomination process, they may not be GIPs. They may not even know about SCRS. And in fact, one of the Eagle Award finalists came to SCRS in that exact way this year. So we try to keep it open and guide that path throughout the summer while folks are nominating and voting. So this is the criteria that folks use, and we are really, really pleased to share the time today with Lisa from PPD. Lisa Diamond is part of PPD, part of Thermo Fisher Scientific, and she leads our team, and she's the executive director of patient enrollment optimization with PPD. She's been a member of the PPD team for over 20 years and an amazing supporter of SCRS, our programs, our initiatives, and our work. So please welcome Lisa Diamond to the conversation. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, thanks, Sean.
Well, Lisa, we are curious, what do you hear from the sites that you work with that has led to change at PPD? Can you share some of those conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I just wanted to say thank you to the entire team, to all of the sites and SCRS as well. This is PPD's second consecutive year of winning the Eagle Award for Best CRO, and it's such an honor and such a privilege, and certainly nothing that we take for granted. So we are very, very grateful and honored to receive the award again. I think that at the core of everything that PPD does is that we really strive and try to prioritize site-focused approaches to everything that we do in clinical trial management. because we want to make sure that the global site community has a good experience working with PPD and that they want to work on future studies with us. And so that really includes, supporting them, connecting with them, and listening to all of our site partners. And we always keep in mind too that it's the sites and the patients who are also our customers. Something we've been doing a lot of this past year within PPD is spreading the word about SCRS and what a valuable resource SCRS and the site community is, and letting folks know across our whole enterprise about all of the resources that are available on the SCRS websites, all of the training opportunities that are made available to the whole company, since we're one of the GIP partners. But some of the pieces of information that we've taken away from really listening to our sites, we've put a number of different processes and systems in place over the last couple of years to improve on things like training for sites that are new to clinical research. We have a program called Site Coach that actually helps sites that have been trying to get into research but can't get in because they don't have experience. And of course, you don't get experience unless you can get somebody to give you that first shot at a study. So that led to the development of our Site Coach program, just for those very sites that want to do clinical research but haven't been able to break in yet. Over the last couple of years, of course, decentralized trials have been a huge focus. And so we've been asking and listening for feedback from our sites on what can we do to make decentralized trials more appealing, better and better suited to a clinical practice flow for these sites. So it's really important, when we're gathering that input, it's because we really want to use that information to better support our sites on these decentralized trials. And then, of course, we have all been speaking about and hearing about diversity as another really important objective across clinical research. So we've also been doing discussions and gathering feedback on what sites need in terms of diversity training, diversity initiatives. We actually just recently launched a version of our Site Coach program that is focused on diversity. So really just trying to listen to what those needs are in the site community and then adapting what we're delivering to match those needs and hopefully better meet those needs.
Thanks, Lisa. That's great. And I want to also mention it was the PPD team that 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when we had the idea, Christine, to start SCRS. The PPD team came to us and said, if you want industry, we just let us work with you on what that might look like to add value into the program. And that has led to the entire Global Impact Partner Program. And the thing that we are constantly reminded of is that you are a bridge and you need to have a voice with your sponsors and your sites and your patients. So it's a unique role. Do you have any advice that you could share with our sites on the line who are looking to continue to improve their relationships with their CRO partners? What are some takeaways maybe that they could have as they approach their next conversation with their CRO contacts?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it's actually been the focus of a couple of different panels that I've been on at different SCRS summits. What can sites do to be recognized, to stand out and be noticed by sponsors and CROs looking for sites for their next study? And I would say, just open dialogue with your counterpart at the CRO or the sponsor company, whoever you're working with directly. Be very honest and realistic about what your enrollment objectives are, what you can realistically achieve. Definitely give feedback. As an intermediary, PPD and other CROs, we don't always have the power to change everything about a study that sites might want to change, but we can definitely relay those messages. So I would encourage all sites to let us know what you like, let us know what you don't like. We can't commit to changing everything that folks don't like, but we can commit to passing that message along. And if enough people say the same thing, that's how we get change. And then stay in close contact with your counterpart at the CRO and the sponsor. Let them know as the study progresses what challenges you might be facing, what things have been working well so that we can do more of those things. And just keep that open dialogue, and that's going to establish for you some really good metrics in our tracking systems. And so when we go to pull that site list for the next study, we're going to be pulling based on who's done well on past similar studies. And if you've met your enrollment goals and those were realistic goals, those metrics are going to shine through, and that's going to put you at the top of the list for the next study.
Thanks, Lisa. That's one of the topics of keeping the transparency around pipeline and where we're producing and where we need improvement. That seems to be a common theme. Mm-hmm. And we're grateful and congratulations to you and your colleagues for your back-to-back Eagle Award recipients. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Sean Jensen, he is the Site Relationship Manager at Merck. And they are this year's recipients of the Eagle Award in the sponsor category. Sean, welcome to Sites Now.
Thanks, Sean.
And I'm wondering, from a sponsor perspective, what's been the biggest change that you've seen at Merck when it comes to relationships you have with your sites?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the pandemic and the aftermath thereof really forced us as an organization to get back to basics. And by that, I mean, what are the parts or what are the areas that our sites need our support the most? And we changed our approach a little bit and dropped the hubris and just went and flat out asked. And so we took that feedback and we heard pain points around continued startup and the troubles navigating the budget contract landscape. Or my CRA, I'd love to have the same CRA as much as I can so they can, gain a relationship with my site and become familiar with our eccentricities. And so we really took that feedback and took that to heart and put forward a strategy that was really site driven and site focused. So to step up to some of those calls, we provided a dedicated technology support team to help sites and provide one-on-one real-time support as they implemented and onboarded the new technologies. Sites received a single point of contact for budgets and contracts, so they're negotiating with the same person over and over again, which for us at Merck is a big deal because if you have multiple protocols, you could be doing the same negotiation with 7-8 different people. And then, leveraging our unique operating model where our team is 100% dedicated to the Merck program. And so that enabled us to say, hey, let's optimize our CRA resources at these sites and ensure that we're keeping CRAs at sites where there's an established relationship, where there's great cadence and familiarity. Because ultimately, for us, it's our sites are going to do exactly what they do. They're the interface to patients and community. They're going to deliver. So as an organization, how do we help them continue to do that? And candidly, in some ways, how the hell do we get out of the way to allow them to do that?
Thank you, Sean. There's a couple things that you shared there. One that I think many of the sites appreciate year in and year out is going to be consistency. And having that consistency to lean on, particularly around budgets and contracts. I think we keep coming back to budgets and contracts. That's one of those elements I said, that's like 10 years ago, people will go, geez, did we get any further on this? And I feel like we have. Without a voice, without collective feedback, it would be disparate negotiations or conversations that go to the wind. Here we can look at it and say, how do you treat that process where it can be mutually beneficial, but while being mutually beneficial, understand that sites have had to shoulder flexible challenges, especially during the pandemic, whether it's PPE or extra expenses, inflation, changes in staff, I mean, you name it. And those are just things that they share in the process, but maybe not the personnel. So, I think it's great to hear that. The other refreshing point there that you mentioned is a practical approach of hearing that feedback. I know we are an innovation and technology driven industry, but sometimes it's just understanding the practical challenges. If you could just help folks get to work and do their work, then worry about how we're recording that work and where we're moving it forward, how we're measuring it. It goes a long way, but understanding those practical moments, I think, are a really big contributor to your program. And we're grateful that you guys have certainly, you had a large family of colleagues join us in Florida this year. So we want to take a moment and say congratulations to you and the Merck team on receiving this year's Eagle Award.
Thank you, Sean. And a sincere thank you to our sites. We're very honored.
So an emotional moment at the summit every year is recognizing the recipient of the Christine K. Pierre Award, who this individual makes an impact. And just to tell you a little bit about the spirit of this award, I think many of you know Christine Pierre was the founder of SCRS. She was a president of an association before she got started. She owned a research site network, worked in the industry, was a nurse before that. She had a storied career with many hats over the course of time. And this award really recognizes an industry leader who exemplifies servant leadership and has made an extraordinary impact within the clinical research site community through their actions, innovations, and spirit that exemplify the mission of SCRS. They uphold our pillars of education, advocacy, mentorship, and connection with not only SCRS members, but the industry at large. On a regular basis, I receive a phone call from someone I've never met, who is incredibly influential in their own clinical research work. And they'll share, the story always starts off this way. So I had a conversation with Vivian Vanderwall, and I go, okay, automatically you have our full attention and we're ready to understand why we're connecting today. Vivian sees the forest through the trees, and she's this year's recipient of the Christine K. Pierre Site Impact Award recipient, award. Congratulations, Vivian.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a huge honor. It still is a huge honor.
So I wanted to ask you, could you just share with the audience changes that your experience at SCRS has made in your work, and where you would like, what's your wish for us in the future? Where does SCRS need to continue to work?
To start off with the first one, I think coming back to what you started and also what I said in my recipient speech, when you show the slides with one picture, one word, a lot of people use the word teamwork. Even I used it on the slide that I shared. And I think that just represents people that are working for, collaborating with the SCRS. We're a team. We can't do it on our own. And I think that's what, was the vision also of Christine, bringing everybody together, and working on things collaboratively. So what I've seen happening is that people understand each other's sides, each other work much better, just because listening and then forming the teams. And the SACs, I think, is a wonderful example of those. And it's always been a pleasure to participate in them. I literally, I think I lost count on how many SACs I've been participating in, but it's so nice that people are willing to listen to the voice of the site and move forward and making it easier, having less burden, because everybody knows we want to focus on our patients. You know, everybody that here has received another award, whether it's a SPRIA or, you know, all these other things, we're all talking about the patients. How can we focus on the patients? And, you know, patients is such a anonymous term, but sooner or later, we can be a patient, or one of our dear ones can be a patient. And we want to have the best treatment for them available. And that's why we're doing this. And you can only do that. I mean, the award I received was given to me, but the first thing I did is said, I can only do this because of the wonderful team I have at my research site, which is my extended family. And we're doing it all together. I can't do it on my own.
Well, you certainly are an amazing team player, and we are grateful for your volunteer leadership over the course of more than a decade now. And I think everyone here is looking forward to seeing you in Lisbon in a few short weeks. But we want to congratulate you on just continuing to raise all boats. And if you've had the opportunity, what Vivian was mentioning, our site advocacy groups, everyone, if you haven't participated in one of these are commissioned or contracted focus groups with a small community of research sites, sponsors, CROs, and solution providers sponsor these site advocacy groups to explore avenues of their work. Sometimes it's around innovation, it may be around DCT, it may be around contracts, it could be anything. But they've typically found that site feedback a valuable resource to inform their work. And Vivian, you've always been a great leader in those and actually helped us improve that program. I used one of Kate's words that she shared earlier in providing a blueprint. I love that term because all of us are looking for a path ahead. And so what is the work, speaking of which, what is the work SCRS needs to be tackling next?
The one concern I had after the landscape opening was the one slide that showed the 3 months revenue that sites have. How many sites have only 3 months or less revenues on you know, to conduct their work? And that figure hasn't really dramatically changed. It's always been around 60-65% or something. And it dawned on me, like, if I would build a house, I would never contract a contractor that only has 3 months of revenues on his bank account, because building a house would, at least in where I live, can take up to a year to a year and a half. And clinical trials are, you know, they can last 1, 2, 3, up to 5 years sometimes. Literally, that was kind of like my thing, like, how can we change that? We changed a lot. We've improved a lot in our budgets. You know, the retention fee, the payment terms, but why isn't that number changing? And that is something I would like to put my shoulders underneath, work on it and find out, and how can we make sure that more sites actually are far more sustainable and have enough revenues to continue their work and not, you know, living paycheck by paycheck, basically. Absolutely.
Well, sustainability is a sincere focus and will continue to be part of the plan moving into next year. That slide that you mentioned, there's another one in there for the first time this year, and that was how many studies did you decline over the last 12 months? And that was eye-opening for me. We're seeing the shortage catch up with us in a couple of ways. we'll take a deeper dive there too, because that is the type of collaboration that we're going to, there'll be collaboration required actually to address those issues. And so, well, we've reached the end of our time. I'm sorry, I thought we had plenty of time for Q&A. But we did want to share this. Is there a moment that stood out to you this year? We're getting our Site Solutions Summit surveys back. Most of it's overwhelmingly positive. Sometimes there's always going to be something that we need to work on. And that's what these kind of conversations are for. So on behalf of the SCRS team, we are grateful for your participation in Sites Now. Thank you again, and congrats to our award recipients. And we look forward to continuing to share these types of conversations as we move into next year and our new Sites Now program. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.